around the age of 7, I was seeing a little guy, a little kid, that he was like asking me to come with him and play. I was alone at home when I hear some steps in the house, and they were coming towards me. Around the age 11, when the strange thing started happening.
What do you think they wanted? Were they trying to connect with you, like you're not listening?
My family started thinking that maybe the house is haunted.
Are we talking about black magic?
My internal organs start shutting down. The doctor see the evolution of the sickness was going too quick, too fast. She only had like 2 or 3 months left of life.
Oof. Did you ever share this with people from the church, for example, at the time?
I was thinking, like, if I'm gonna die, why I don't end my life earlier? One person came and they give me a book. It says, no matter what happens, life is still beautiful. Maybe sometimes life can be really hard, but sometimes life can change one moment to other.
It's hard to say, but I am a victim of sexual abuse from the uncle and the houseboy.
मैं क्यों ये सब गया हूँ?
मैंने suicide कर लिया.
I was alone with the guy in apartment. He entered.
I've been raped.
Welcome to Unfiltered. The stories we were told not to tell.
Seeing this particular lady, every night she would come to my window and call me.
I was diagnosed with the most shocking news of my life, that was the breast cancer.
We are going to talk about emotional abandonment, identity, escape, relationships, and what really means to come back to yourself.
The girls have been taught, don't go out at night, don't wear short clothes, don't do this. Why aren't the boys being taught?
You're working, you're taking care of the kids, you have to be a great wife, you have to be great and successful, sexy woman.
You're not just together holding each other sexually.
We, as women, biologically wired to protect, to nourish, to nurture. We are meant to give life.
Cancer didn't shake you. You shook cancer.
ऊपर वाला जैसा किया वैसे उसमें मैं बहुत ज़्यादा खुश हूँ.
I think that respect for myself would have also brought me higher self-esteem.
आज मैंने अपने ऊपर 8 महीने इन्वेस्ट किए हैं और मैं आपके साथ यहाँ पे बैठी हूँ. तो सोचो मैंने 8 साल अपने ऊपर इन्वेस्ट किए होते तो मैं कहाँ बैठी होती.
Welcome to Unfiltered, the stories we were told not to tell. Some stories challenge the way we understand the world. They sit somewhere between faith, experience, and the things we can't always explain. Our guest today grew up in Colombia in a family that wasn't particularly religious. From a very young age, she says she experienced the world differently, sensing things that others around her didn't always understand. As a teenager, her life took a dramatic turn. At the age of 15, she suddenly became very ill. Her health deteriorated so severely that doctors believed that she only had a few months left to live, something that medicine alone could not explain. She dedicated several years of her life to missionary work, traveling, and sharing her faith. Eventually, life brought her to Dubai. Today, she works in the field of energy healing, practicing Reiki, and spiritual guidance, helping people reflect on their own emotional and spiritual journeys. In this conversation, we talk about faith, unexplained experiences, survival, and how someone can transform their darkest chapters of their lives into a purpose of helping others. So today on Unfiltered, let's welcome Veisy.
Thank you so much for joining us, Veisy. How are you today?
Hi, Samna. I'm really happy to be here today and really grateful for the opportunity to be here.
Perfect. And before even we go anywhere, Veisy, your name is very, very unique. I've never heard one before. So could you just tell me what it means?
Well, actually, my name, yes, is unique, but it doesn't have an actually meaning.
Okay.
The thing is, like, when I was born, my dad was the one who went to register me. And my original name was supposed to be Daisy, like a flower.
Okay. Yeah.
But my dad was drunk. So he mispronounced it. And the guy just write in Colombia, they write whatever they hear. And my mom, when my dad comes back, my mom was mad, but they say, I'm gonna change it tomorrow, but that they never came. So they leave me like Veisy, and it's unique, and nobody's gonna have the same name.
Okay, that's too weird, but good to know. Maybe we should add it to the dictionary. Add a meaning to it.
I'm gonna make my own my own meaning.
Exactly. Yeah. Nice. So where are you from, Veisy?
I'm original from Colombia.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about your country. How is Colombia? I mean, what I'm curious about is a little bit of the culture, like the food, the language you guys speak, and also the dynamics between men and women in your country. Like, how does that work?
Okay, in Colombia, I would say it's a beautiful country. Not just because I came from there, but it's because it's beautiful. You had a really nice views, the mountains. You have everything there. Different weather. In Colombia, we don't have the 4 seasons. We only had 2. But in Colombia, you can see the snow in one of the parts. Okay. And we had a desert. In Neiva, we had a desert. And Bogota, that is the capital, is really, really cold. And there is the other city that I like the most. That's when I didn't grow up there, but I moved there since I was 16. Is Medellin. It's one of the most tourist cities in Colombia, a part of Cartagena. And the weather in Medellin is just perfect. It's known as the eternal spring because it's spring all the time. It's just amazing.
And Spanish, I'm assuming, is...
Yes. Spanish is our first language.
Okay.
And you learn a little bit in English in the school, but the English that you learn from school is really basic. Like, you cannot go and have a conversation after you learn English from school. But I give you the basics.
You told me a little bit of the story when we met briefly, but I'm very much so curious about your childhood. Tell me more.
In my childhood, I was born in a really small town.
Okay.
It calls Puerto Rico. Caquetá is in Colombia. It's close to Amazonas. And I moved to Medellin when I was 16. In my childhood, if someone asked me how I can describe my childhood, in my case, I was able to see things that people couldn't see. So since an early age, I think the first time I started seeing things was when I was like 3 or 4 years old.
Okay.
And I was asking my mom, like, what is this? And my family is not religious. I grew up in kind of atheist. My dad's really logical mindset type of man. My mom is emotional, but she doesn't believe in God or whatever. I didn't grow up with any religious, or I didn't grow up with any spirituality, like nothing. Like, was like zero, only like being really rational. So I was telling my mom, and they didn't understand what I was talking about.
Yeah.
I remember around the age of 6 or 7, I was seeing a little kid, that he was like asking me to come with him and play. He calls me by my second name. My second name is Catherine, but the short way is Katie or Katie or Kate. So he was calling me Kate to go and play with him. And I was telling my mom.
Okay.
And my mom was like, they thought I was crazy, and they put me in a psychologist because they thought I was having imaginary friends.
Yeah.
So after that, I started seeing more things, but in some point it was like too real for me. And it was like, what is this? And I didn't understand. My family was treating me like I was a little crazy.
Yeah.
and I didn't have anyone around me who can explain me. So I started going to look for church in a way to find a shelter, or maybe I thought the people from the church can understand me better, or they could, because I thought it was something spiritual, but I didn't have like the tools or the right people around me that could explain what was going on in my life.
So did you ever share this with people from the church, for example, at the time?
In the really beginning,
Yeah.
I was telling the pastor, like, I'm seeing this stuff, like I see people call it spirits,
Yeah.
you know, entities, and they look at me like a weirdo.
Even them, they didn't really.
Yes,
Really.
they look me at like,
Okay.
I was like, what is this? Like, I was, in one point, I remember a pastor told me that maybe I was feeling lonely, and I was making also imaginary friends. In one point, it was like, well, I expecting something different for a person who claims to be spiritual, you know.
Yeah,
I believe
yeah.
religious people can be spiritual.
Yeah.
And in that point, I stopped sharing. I stopped sharing. I just started keeping only to myself. Whatever I was seeing, I just didn't say.
But it must be very scary, no? Like you see something
Yes,
that other people.
That was really scary. Around the age 11, when the strange things start happen around the house. So in my house, we used to have two houses next to each other.
Okay.
So in one of the houses, around 7 p.m., most of the time I was alone. My mom's stay-home wife, but my mom is really proactive. She likes to do things, you know, she likes to have her own business. She likes to go explore. So my mom was, in that time, she was helping someone in a project. So she was not at home that much. My dad, he was a provider. So he just out of the house all the time. I don't have sisters, so I only had 3 brothers.
Okay.
So they are men. They like to be out playing soccer or playing whatever with their friends. I always stay home. I always been like that. Maybe because I'm a Cancer. So I always like to be at home. And then I remember that the first time that something scary that actually was scary for me happened was around 11 years old. And I was alone and at home. I was doing the dishes when I hear some steps in the house. I hear steps. So I was like I'm alone, like, who is this? And I just ignore it. And then the steps become stronger and they were coming towards me. And I just, between going to one of the house to the other, you can go in the backyard, you know? So I start looking and I hear it, but I don't see it. So like, I was like, what is this? And so I start becoming nervous. And as explained before, I start going to church in that time alone. Like my family didn't go with me. So I start singing a song of the church, one of the church I went. And in that moment, used to calm myself down, you know. In that moment, when I start singing, these steps start running towards me. But at the same time that I was running, I hear like, there was like heavy, they was carrying some heavy, I don't know how to say that, like heavy change. I hear that and I go scared. So I run out of the house and I meet some of my friends outside. They were playing outside. I didn't tell them anything. Why you don't guys give me company at home and alone? And when I was talking about it, the lights of the house gone down, turned off themselves. Like nobody was in my house. They just turned off themselves. And my friend was like, you say you're alone. What happened with the lights? I was like, I don't know, maybe electricity problem. I didn't want to tell them because I was scared. Yeah. Maybe say like, no, I'm not gonna come with you. And then one of my friends, I don't know, was funny because she said, oh, I don't want to be there because I just watched a really horror movie. And she started talking about the horror movie. It was like, there is a no. So I was like, okay. And in that moment, later my mom came and I was telling her like, I was hearing something that the lights turned himself off. And she was like, no, this just, like, she making rational. She said like, no, this is a electricity problem and blah, blah, blah. That was the first time like I go really scared. Like before I see things, but I was like thinking that it's normal. I thought everyone can see that.
Yeah.
And after that, more strange things start happening in my house. Like they move the teams, like they, especially myself, they start taking, I feel they take out, and you see it, they take out the blanket, they open and close the doors. So at one point, when that start happening, my family start thinking that maybe the house is haunted. Because how you can
So
explain?
they also saw these things eventually?
Yes. Eventually, in the beginning, it was only me.
Yeah.
It was only me experiencing this. But at one point, my family started seeing the things. Even my little brother was the one who always was laughing about me. He said, like, I'm crazy. Like, I was having imaginary friends. I just needed attention from my parents.
Yeah.
So he was the one who was laughing the most until one time I stopped seeing the things, let's say like that, and my little brother starts seeing it. So he starts seeing the people call it spirits, other people call it identities, like whatever. So he starts seeing that. And that when my brother say was when my parents start believing like something was off in the house, but they still didn't know what to do. So we moved to the other house. We left the house. That was next to each other.
Yeah.
But so we always live here. I love animals. So my parents always spoiled me with a lot of the animals. So I had like rabbits, parrots. I even had a crocodile.
Oh, a crocodile.
Yes.
Okay.
I had snakes.
Colombian, okay.
I had snakes, chicken, ducks, dogs and cats. So I had like a little farm in my own house.
Yeah.
So we moved from this house to the other.
What do you think they wanted? Were they trying to connect with you? Like you're not listening? Like what was the thing?
In my case, I didn't know what was going on. I told you, like I didn't understand what is that. That's why I went to church. In one point I felt like children in the church, but in the same in the same way I felt judged. So I felt really, really lonely during the time.
Yeah.
Because my family didn't understand me. My friends, even in high school, I was popular just because I was pretty smart. I was the top student. But the people didn't want to be my friends because they were scared of whatever. They thought I was like haunted or I was like a witch or something that was wrong. Something was wrong with me. So I grew up I always had like few friends, like a really loyal friends. But the rest of the people, they were doing bullying on me because they called me crazy.
Did it stop when you moved to the new house?
No, it became worse.
Okay.
In one point, there was something that was visiting me almost every single night. I call it like a cat. And so I don't know, when you have the cat, maybe in your legs, you feel the little warmth of the body of the cat. So every time I went to sleep, I felt and I see someone. Sometimes I see like a really tall, like a human form, but it's not completely human. Person, and it's really dark, really black, and they came I see them coming to the door even opened itself, and they sit down in the bed with me, and you felt the down when the bed goes down, like you feel that someone physically is there, and it becomes like a little cat. So this thing got in my legs, and you felt it. But when it left, they give me brush, and the brush, it was for so long time. There's this brush. So at one point, one night I was really scared because the thing was doing like this in the door with the nails.
Oh God.
So I was like really, really scared that night. And in one point of my life, I remember I didn't want to, I hate the time around 7 p.m. because it's when I start feeling things around me. Always was at the night time.
Okay.
So I remember that I couldn't sleep. This thing was not letting me alone. And I called my mom to sleep with me. So my mom comes to live with me. That day, my mom started believing like there is something in me or in the house. So the thing is like, I was telling my mom like I feel a cat, and I was having so many brushes in my legs and my arms. Like you cannot find a reason why I was getting the brushes. And my mom went to sleep with me. And you see it, was the blanket. And with this little cat, I call it the cat. I felt that they go there. You see the blanket going down. Like you see it, but you see going down, but there's nothing physical. So my mom was saying that, and I placed my hand like this. You don't see anything. I felt like some kind of warm. I don't know if my mom felt something, but she saw it. And then my mom slept with me that night, and I put my knee close to the back of my mom, and this little cat sit down there, and it was really warm. And so I was thinking, my mom was doing anything. I was like, maybe it's just. In one point, I also start dub about myself.
Yeah.
It was like, maybe it's my imagination actually. Maybe because everyone was saying that, I was like, maybe it's fake. Maybe it's just me because my mom was not doing anything. And I was about to open my mouth to ask my mom if she felt something because my leg was so close to her back. And I was about to open when my mom, she sent her hand to exactly that spot. So I was like, do you feel something? She said, yes, I feel like it's actually a cat. I feel like it's an animal next to my back. So I was like, okay, that's what I always feel. So my mom got scared, and we went to her room, and my mom sent my dad. my
You do her now.
Yes.
I'm not doing it. Wow.
So my mom sent my dad to the house, and I was sleeping in my parents' bedroom that night.
Wow.
And my mom, the next day, she told me, because I can recall this quite clear, that she couldn't sleep at all that night.
Of course,
she was having nightmares.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is happening every single night to me. Like, now you can understand me what is going on in my life. Like, I've been like this years now. So was quite lonely, was really hard. And after that, in Colombia, in some towns, it's really common to have like sink in the houses. It's the sink. It's not like roof like this.
Okay.
So you can, when it's raining, it's beautiful because you hear the rain.
Okay.
But in my house, every night after that, every single night, you hear like something jumping in the house. Like you hear in the attack, and everyone in the house can hear it. It's not only me. Everyone could hear it. So, for example, I was here. This thing just jump here, and if I start moving to the kitchen, the thing in the sink start going also in the kitchen, like follow me in the house. And after everyone go to sleep, I felt like something come to the house, and later that the whole thing start repeating itself.
That's so weird.
Yes, in one point, my mom was like, "What is this?" And they went to the house in front, across the street. They put like they jump in the other house just to see what was jumping in the house, and all was the same time. And they hear it, but you don't see anything in the house. Like they couldn't see anything. So that was always like a mystery, like something. My dad in one point started thinking like maybe there's something like a wish. In Colombia, it's really common believing
wishes.
Is it common? In small towns, it's really common to. Even I remember I grew up listening to stories from my grandma. They believe. I don't think that's true, but you grow up listening like there's some witches that they can become like an animal, like they become like a bird, and they go in after men or something like that. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
But in some towns in Colombia, they still believe in this stuff. Like they still believe in some kind of transformation power or something like that in the humans.
Witch, or is it like, are we talking about black magic? What are we?
They talk about, the thing is like in Colombia, when you say witch, they automatically associate with black magic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's not white witch. It's basically dark.
Yes. When you talk about witch in Colombia, you're talking about black magic. In Colombia, for example, the white witches that people say is most in this part of the world is more like people who work with energy.
Yeah.
In Colombia, you don't find this. Like it's not common. You're not gonna find someone who do Akachi records or someone who do Reiki healings. Energy healings is not a thing in Colombia. They do some kind of the other stuff like the black magic.
Does it work? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know. It works.
Yeah.
I don't know if that works. I believe in energy.
Okay.
I believe in that.
But if we have energy, I'm assuming if we have the white, then
they can happen.
Yeah.
The black, of course. But like I haven't see. I can talk about the energy because I do that,
Yeah.
But the black magic, I haven't.
You have not seen it before.
No, or work. Like when we talk about black magic, I thinking about spells or something like that.
Yeah.
So coming back to my family stuff. So yeah, and after that, after one point around, I was already 15 years old. I was finishing school, and I got really sick. My nervous system, my central nervous system and peripheral nervous system was destroyed.
Okay.
So everything, the first symptoms I had was because my hands become numb. I couldn't feel my hands.
Okay.
So I told my mom, like, I don't feel in my hands. And that was my first time going to the doctor by myself. And I went to the doctor and I explained to him, like, listen, I'm not feeling my hands.
Yeah.
And I think the doctor didn't believe me. Like what is this, I don't know what happened. So he told me, like, close your eyes and put your hands in this position. So I closed my eyes, put my hands in this position. But the doctor was not coming. I didn't hear he's coming. And when I opened my eyes, he was cutting my hands and I have blood over there. And I was like, I don't actually feel anything. He asked me, you don't actually feel anything? I was like, no, I don't feel anything.
Wow.
So he sent me to another doctor in another city. I had to go like 4 hours away from my town to have to go to this doctor 2 weeks later. So I was like, in 2 weeks I want to be good. Like this, I'm not going to go. Anyway, so after that, 3 days later, I start coming back to normal. I felt my hands and it was like, oh, I'm cured. I'm good now. But after the 4th day, my hands become asleep again. So it was like on and off. That how it started,
Okay.
on and off. So when I went to the next doctor, when he was doing the physical exam, he found out that my legs started losing the reflection. One of my legs was not reflecting, the other one was okay. And so he sent me to a neuro exams here in my brain to say what's going on. In that moment, we didn't know what's going on. He gave me another appointment for 2 or 3 weeks later. But in 2 or 3 weeks later, my body was already feeling, my arms was feeling.
Well, exactly. 2-3 weeks later is too late, actually. It's not a small problem. Like
Yes, but in Colombia, the health system is not like in Dubai. In Dubai, 1 hour you had the appointment. In Colombia, it's like, I was actually thinking I was lucky because actually the one appointment to another is 2 or 3 months, depends, And I was giving the priority.
Yeah, for 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks, that was the priority.
Yeah.
And when I went to the next, I remember when I went to the next doctor, in that point, I already lost all my reflection. It's only 3 weeks, 2 weeks,
But could you walk?
In that moment, I was able to walk still.
Okay.
But later on, I lost the ability.
Okay.
So in the next session, I tell you, like 2 or 3 weeks later, I lost all the reflection of I was not having reflections here, not here. And my whole body was already, like, I was not feeling it.
Wow.
My face, I was not feeling, my stomach, I was not feeling anything.
Wow.
So I remember one of the exams the doctor did was like, so they pull all needles in all my body and they send like a little electricity to check my reaction. And my body was reacting late. Like was reacting, but late, like not normal, was out of the range. So they sent me in Colombia, is to the doctors. The best doctors are in the biggest cities.
Yeah, of course.
So in that moment, I was in the middle. Because they sent me to another, and I was already in the middle, and they sent me to the top one, the one who's supposed to cure
you,
or gonna find the root cause. And then the next appointment was like, I think 3 or 4 weeks later on. But when I went there, I was not even to go there. I had to go by an emergency because for example, in that point, I was not able to breathe properly. I was getting tired of just walking. Like walking, I was getting tired. I was like, for me, it felt like I was running a marathon, It was just walking steps, I out of breath. I was not able to breathe correctly, and I lose all my reflections. And for example, this cup is not heavy, but in that time I couldn't even hold a cup or a plate or anything. And in that moment also, I started losing the geospatial because I see the door, I want to go to the door, but my body stopped, like not following my instructions.
Wow.
So my family started in that moment because, the system is not the best. So they start going by private doctors.
Okay.
And all the tests, all the medical exams started again. In one point, I was really bad. My internal organs start shutting down. So my heart started having problems. I was not eating at all. Like I go days without eating. I become in my bones. Like in that moment, this happened. I didn't feel any part of my body. It was really depressing, because I put my hands in cold water. I didn't feel anything. Hot water, and I couldn't feel anything. I was cutting myself everywhere. I was reaching myself everywhere because as I cannot feel, I don't know how much stress I was putting on that. But I was really weak in that point. I was really weak. I was in my bones. And then I went to this another doctor. I was living in the hospital in that point. They put me there because I didn't feel my body, but the only thing is like a high intense pain in this part of my body.
That's very strange.
Yes, that's the only thing that was painful for me. The rest, I didn't feel anything. Only that part was really, really painful.
Okay.
The doctors, they put like 21 shots per day on me to keep me, here because I was not eating. I was like, if I eat something, I was straight out. And most of the time I was just sleeping. I was really, really weak. And then in one point, when my organs start shutting down and the doctor see the evolution of the sickness was going too quick, too fast, they told my parents, especially to my mom, like take your daughter home, spend as much time as you can because we believe she only had like 2 or 3 months left of life.
Oof. Wow.
Like there is no way she can survive this because her organs start shutting down. In any moment, everything's gonna be gone. And I remember one of the time even my heart stopped working for, I don't know for how long, I don't remember. But I remember I fainted. I started fainting a lot. That's how it started.
Yeah, but you were not eating, right? So,
I was not eating, nothing. And then my parents took me home. They took me back to my hometown. Really sad, especially my mom.
So, but hold on. So you at some point you basically your heart stopped. So you basically died.
In one point, yes. In one point that happened.
Okay. Did you at that point, since you had this, I don't know if we call it a gift, but you could see beyond, let's say, anything that you saw when you went through that experience?
I know some people, when they are facing death, because I faced death.
Yeah.
They talk about a tunnel and a light and something like that. In my experience, I didn't see that. I remember you seeing like a really beautiful river, like a big river. And I see a woman, she was using white clothes, and something inside me says like, is like God or like something beyond human beings. I didn't know what was that until nowadays. I was like, I'm not sure what was that.
Yeah.
And I just remember that, and I remember like seeing myself like in a room, like in a boat or something like that. But I don't know, it was just me or because the mental state I was not good. In that moment, my mental state was really bad as well.
Of course, yeah. So, how did you get out of depression? What happened? Did you have friends also around you at the time? I mean, you were in high school, so I'm assuming you had good friends, those ones that are close to you.
Yes, I had a few friends. Like they gave me support. As I say, like I was quite popular just because I was like a smart girl, but. They show me support. When I graduate, I was graduating with honors, but I couldn't go because I was in the hospital fighting for my life. But my friends, what they did, they sent me flowers and they sent me photos of the group, and that was nice,
Yeah. So coming back to it, so you felt depressed. and you went home. How did you like cope with it? And you were close to your brothers, your parents. Like, were you able to discuss this with them? Like, you were feeling depressed or?
I think my depression started a little before I actually started getting sick.
Okay, explain.
It was because during that time, I was in that moment of my life, my parents was getting divorced.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were going through a divorce. And then it was really confusing for me because I didn't know what to do, because my parent was saying like, choose mommy or choose daddy. Like, it's hard questioning. I was grown, I was already 15, but I wanted to keep both of my parents together. So I was already feeling down in that time, and most because my mom, she left for a short period. She left home. She left to see her. She was leaving my dad.
Your mom was leaving your dad?
Yeah, she was leaving my dad. So she went to her sister, I don't remember. Yeah, her sister.
Yeah.
So in that moment, I was alone with my dad. Was not long, was like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I was already feeling depressed. I was feeling, because my mom, she said, when I come back, you need to make it up your mind. You need to take a decision. So I was okay, fine. I was already feeling depressed in that moment. But when I got sick, I was more depressed. Like,
of course.
I was like, when I hear the doctor saying to my mom, like, I only had 2 or 3 months left, and my mom take me back home, I was like having this is a really bad mindset. But I was thinking, like, if I'm gonna die, why I don't end my life earlier? So I'm gonna stop my pain, but also I'm gonna stop the pain of the people around, because what's really painful, I think sometimes in that position it's more painful seeing the people you love being in pain than your own pain. You think about the others. So I was having this thought every single day. I was having dreams about it, like how to do it. So I prepared everything. My mom was not at home in that time. My brothers, they are not at home. I was alone. And I prepared the drink, because you put I'm not gonna say that, but you mix this with another stuff. And I was ready. There. I was in the kitchen, I remember that. And then something happened. My little brother, he's a little younger than me for 3 years, I think, 2-3 years. But he's the type of person who doesn't show any emotions. Okay. He doesn't show any feelings. You're never gonna hear from him like, I love you, like you're important, like I appreciate you, nothing. Like, he's the most cold person I know. So I grew up with him, but our relationship wasn't like that close. I always was closer to my older brother. So my little brother, I was not that close to him. He kind of grew up feeling, because the age is small, so he was always like competition in somehow. But that day, suddenly, he was out playing soccer. He came sweating, like all sweating. In that time, he was a little fat, so he was all sweaty. And he came, he didn't know what was going on. And he just came, he looked at me at the eyes. He gave me a hug. And he looked at me in my eyes and he said, Veisy, I love you. And I'm really happy you are here. He only said that and he left. He left, continue playing. He just came to the house, told me that, drink water, and left.
Wow.
And I was like in shock, because I was like, I'm gonna forget about this idea. Like it's a small act that my brother did, but changed my mindset in that moment. Just a small gesture that made me to forget about the idea.
Does he know today?
One time I shared with him, like I told him, I always say, like, you saved my life, but you don't know how you save it. Because I keep to myself my thoughts, I keep to myself. I never hear it, I never share it. But even though after this, I still keep the same thoughts,
Of course, it doesn't just go away like that.
Like,
of course,
no. Gonna go away. No.
Yeah.
But I still keep thinking about the idea. I was contemplating the idea, and I was thinking about other ways to end it faster or quicker. Or maybe I was thinking, maybe I don't want my parents find me in a really bad position. Maybe I just go somewhere else and they never find me. I was contemplating all these ideas. And then someone comes to my house. This person, sometimes I believe in God or the universe send people to your way when you need them the most. And they had like a specific task. So this one person came and they give me a book. The book it's in Spanish, but it's also in English. It says, no matter what happens, life is still beautiful. The author is Enrique Chai. So he gave me this book, and you know what happened? I say this to myself. I like reading books since childhood. So I say, I'm gonna read this book. It's gonna be the last book I read, and when I finish, I'm gonna end my life. Because I was really bad, you know. I was bad, and every day was going worse. So I started reading the book, but this book changed. This book was the one who changed my mind, because this book actually talks about being resilient, like trying to see the light when it's all dark. You know, it's a Christian book actually, and one of the advice this book say that. I actually apply, and I always share it with people. This book say like when you feel depressed or when you feel low, go and help someone else in need. And it was like, who are you gonna help? Like who? In that moment,
who's worse than me?
Exactly. I was like, who else is worse than me? I can't barely walk. I cannot do that much. I just be lie down all the that was in the first capture, I think.
In all this time, did you see anything in terms of, beings around the house? Because, I mean, obviously you mentioned this. It cannot just go away somehow. Yes. So what happened to those beings?
That was the curious thing. It's really curious that you asked me this. I stopped when I was sick, because most of the time I was asleep. I stopped seeing them, but them showing on my dreams. So I start seeing them on my dreams all the time. So they never leave me alone.
So it wasn't like they needed your help or anything, or you needed to guide them. It was more like...
Yes, to be honest.
Dark.
Yeah, that is just... In one point, I actually believe, until nowadays, I think was the house. There was something in the house. Because, in Colombia, they when it's not enough houses in a city or something, some people, they go and they just basically make a camp. And so the government gave force to expand the country, the city or the town.
Yeah.
So they build houses around it. So my mom told me that this particular place where our house was placed used to be like a cemetery before.
You had a gift when you were young, but also perhaps the house was haunted. So it's a combination, perhaps.
It's a combination.
Interesting.
Because, listen, I knew it was a gift because I was able to see them, and sometimes I talk to them.
And they talk back?
Yeah. They always invite me to go with them somewhere. I never follow them. I never want to go actually follow them because I didn't know where they're gonna take me. My house was at the end of the town. So after the house finished, right after 3 houses after, it's just forest.
But even in all this, your parents were not thinking like maybe we should get a pastor home, just cleanse the house or whatever it is. No.
My dad, he doesn't had opinion about it. So it was my mom who was like, it's just imagination, that's not real. The light was the electricity, the door open because the wind or something like that. Always trying to find a logical reason on what was going on.
Yeah. So coming back to your then disease, obviously you're healthy now. You look healthy. So what happened in between that time frame? So did the doctor really find out what it was exactly, or?
So my parents took me to the house again, and they tried everything, Took me to a woman. She does like the cigars thing or something like that.
Cigars thing?
Yes.
Okay.
She like kind of reads the cigars to trying to find the reason why I was sick into trying to find the cure.
I've never heard of this one. I know the coffee thing, but cigar thing?
They read the cigar.
Okay.
But the thing is, like, when it went, she was not able to do it. Like,
Why?
she said, I don't know. She said, why is this working? And she tried, and the cigar was not turning on. It was like something strange is with you because I cannot do it. And I left with no answers. Like she didn't have any answers for me. So they took me back home, and then they took me to another lady that she claims that she is able to talk to angels. And she told me the cure is a glass of water 3 times per day. So she said I need to put the glass of water next to the bed. And before drinking, I had to make a prayer. And I drinking, and I supposed to be cured. I'm going to be honest with you. I started drinking, and 2 days later, I actually started feeling better a little bit. But it was just slightly like something leads like.
Yeah.
But in one point, I started questioning it. It was like, because she said it was God. You know, she said it was God who's going to put the medicine in the cup for me to cure myself. So I started questioning it. I was like, if God is gonna cure me, why he just don't cure me right away? Like, that was the way I was thinking. Like, what is like water? So I stopped drinking. I stopped drinking this magical water. And my dad got mad at me. That was my dad, the one who was like, you need to drink it. He was like making sure I drink the water and I make the prayers. He was no believer, but he was making me do that. And then
That's
there
funny.
was nothing. I started getting bad and gain. And after that, I become even worse. That was when I was not able to walk anymore. I was not able to work anymore. I was on the bed all the time. My parents had to do everything for me. Like my breathing was so bad. Like I had these machines to breathe one point because I was like, this person who came with a book that I told you about. He told me, like, if I try with everything, my parents tried more thin. They even went to a person from Amazon's. This person came to me and they told me, well, you're trying with everything. Why you don't try with God? Why you don't let people come to your house and pray for you? So in that point, I was, okay, fine. Like, what else? So these people came to my house and they prayed for 2 days. They placed hands on my body. And they pray for 2 days.
So it's part of Christianity?
Yes, this is 7 days.
So they do like this and then...
Yes, this is called because, in the Bible, we talk a little bit about Bible. In Luke, I think it's Luke 3:8, if I don't recall wrong. I probably recall it wrong. But it's talk about when Jesus placed the hands on people to heal.
Okay, yeah.
So these people, they place their hands, especially here in the head, and pray. They connect with God and pray, and they put oil in this part of my body. So that's what they did. They pray for, like, the first night they came to pray from 7 p.m. until 1 or 2 in the morning. And the second night they pray longer, way longer. And in the second night, just like a miracle happened. Like, I start feeling my body run like suddenly. I think it was the most beautiful moments or the most beautiful memories I have in my life, because I was not feeling my body for so long. Like, in that moment was like 2 or 3 months. And suddenly I was feeling completely, like, everything just get out of my body completely. The pain in my back just disappeared. I asked was for food.
Give me food.
First thing, it was like, I'm hungry, I want to eat. So my parents, they see this like a miracle, They see like something is there, like something is real.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So they prayed for you, 2 days, you saying?
Yes, and they do 2 days. The first day, I'm going to be honest with you. So during the time I was sick, as I told you, I stopped seeing things outside and everything was coming more inside me.
Yeah.
And then during the prayer, some spiritual manifestation.
Okay.
That's why it took it too long, because they usually pray like a few minutes, but they pray hours. because there was like a spiritual manifestation. It
Okay.
took too long. And the next day,
So they felt it also?
yes, there is something, because as I say, my family all the time, they were saying like, this is just my imagination, that this is not real. So sometimes I tried to convince myself that that was actually my imagination. But the thing is, like, there is things like you cannot explain. Like, for example, when this spiritual manifestation happened, I was literally in my bones, I was so skinny, like I was not able to hold a cup. And suddenly I have too much strength, and I was way stronger than 4 men. In the first night was 4 men. So I was threw away these guys like nothing, like there was a piece of paper for me.
So hold on. You're describing me like an exorcism right now. Is that what we're talking about now?
Yeah, something like that.
So like what I
happened.
see in the movies, in a horror movie.
Yeah, something like that happened.
Okay, so they were praying and you basically were rejecting the prayers and
Yes, but I
basically...
didn't know what was going on, because
Okay.
the moment they came, they sing first and they started
Yeah.
praying. Everything went normal.
Okay.
Everything was normal until the pastor in the prayer, he says, I'm gonna allow Veisy to talk to God, directly to God. So he gave like a space for me to pray. And I remember that I had my eyes closed. And when I'm about to pray, something showed up in my like here. I don't know how to explain this, but it was like a woman. It was like a tree next to her, and she was like that white clothes. And she was like dancing. And when she saw me, like really like a movie, she just come like to me, and I felt my physical body was like suck, like the air suck my body. And in that moment, I lose completely control of my body.
Okay, and so they basically... So what we're saying is your house was haunted.
Yeah.
And that basically got hold of you. That got you sick.
Yes.
Ish.
It's not like I would never say completely that my house was haunted, because wherever I go, what I see that
It used to come with you also. It used to follow you.
I go to one time. I remember going to one of my closest friends' house because I was scared. My family was not at home. I didn't want to be at my home, so I went to her place. And after that, she said, "Basically, I'm never gonna sleep with you again," because that night in the house, things that never happened to her happened. And she was
So it was,
me.
you who were haunted.
Wherever I go, I see the things.
And do you know what was the reason? Was there something that was...
Well, in that moment, I didn't understand anything. I believe that maybe in one moment I opened a door, maybe because the thoughts I was having, I never knew it until many years later that something was revealed to me, that one of the members' family was doing some kind of black magic on me.
Oh, wow.
That happened. I found out many years later, like years later. But in that time, I was no understanding what was going on, because as I explained, I was seeing things as a really early age,
I look back, from your childhood, you have a gift, but you don't know so much what to do about it, to somebody having maybe black magic in your family that, followed you for a good period of time. You almost lost your life. To now, in being in Dubai, you left Colombia, you're here. You also went through, some personal situations with your fiance, to somebody you met also here. So a lot of trauma. People in general go through a lot of these things, and women especially as well. What would you recommend them, as in how to come out of these, like all these things happen to you, and a lot of women are going through these challenges, personal challenges, as well as your friends, for example. What would you tell them? Maybe a few best practices, tips that you can share.
I think depends of the situation you're going through. Something can be useful and other stuff probably not that useful.
Yeah.
So I can talk in general things that actually helps me during my process in different stages of my life. I think I said this before, but in my case, prayer is always been a big thing in my life. You can pray whatever you believe. You believe in Allah, pray to Allah, you believe in God or Buddha, whatever you believe, just pray. Pray always connects me with something superior, and it's also making me humble, making me be knowing that I'm here having this experience human life. In my case, prayer is always be important. Writing your thoughts, or writing what you're going through, or writing what you want to tell to that person that probably hurts you. Let's say someone betrays you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not good that you carry all this anger in your heart.
Yeah.
So writing, or people call it also journaling,
Yeah.
is even some of the psychologists
Yeah.
and therapists, they use this method. It's just write everything is going through in your head and your heart. Just write it. It helps me a lot. So I'm pretty sure that also helps others. And one of the methods I also use, a part of writing, because sometimes you're lazy to write, is just talk. Is talk.
That's what I use.
Yeah, talk. Imagine the person is next to you. This is a method called the empty chair. Just imagine the person is next to you and say everything you had in your heart also can be useful.
Very nice.
And for people who is more in the spiritual, like this kind of energy things, I say, like, please make grounding was the biggest priority, like being grounded. In my case, when I was anxious, the breath always helps me. There is like the breath in butts, like four and 6, and holding helps me to calm my nervous system and calm myself. And when you calm yourself, you can think better.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It was really nice talking to you.
No, thank you to you. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure. And I hope by what I have shared, not only with you, but the people who is listening to this, they can find hope. They can find some inspirations. Like they can understand, like, maybe sometimes life can be really hard, but sometimes life can change one moment to other. Like my life changed in one moment to other a lot. So yes, it's always have faith, always remains positive.
Yes.
It's really important.
Agreed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks. This conversation left me thinking about how differently people experience the world. Some stories are easy for us to understand, and others challenge the way we see reality, belief, and spirituality. What stayed with me the most was not whether we fully understand experiences like this, but how someone chooses to move forward after something that deeply affected their life. She spent years exploring faith, service, and eventually found her own path in helping others through healing practices. And maybe the bigger reflection from this conversation is this: not every story needs to be fully explained for it to have a meaning. And maybe the bigger reflection from this conversation is this: not every story needs to be fully explained for it to have a meaning. Sometimes what matters most is how people transform their struggle into something that helps others. And I'll see you next Wednesday with another episode of Unfiltered.